well. So the second strategy is the connect all the information. So we have built up the social innovation lab. That's me and Jeff. We are all here in the Taiwan social innovation lab. So on site, we have on site a lot of programs to help the entrepreneurs, the startup who is interested in building their social entrepreneurship. So we can not only give them fish, but teach them how to fish. That is the second strategy. So the third strategy is comprehend. Comprehend. After we collecting their needs, we have to comprehend about and put the actions into policies. Put all the actions into policy. That's why we have the social entrepreneurship action plans. So that's the most important thing for us. The government is provide the support. We are not taking the lead. We provide the full support so we can coordinate the 12 different agencies and different ministries and working together to provide our government support to encourage the social entrepreneurship. That's why we do the 3 strategies. Why we do to promote the social innovation in Taiwan. So first, I share my point of view here. Thank you.
Yihong, you close your mic.
I can hear you.
Sorry. Robert, how many social enterprise or social innovation organizations are there now in Taiwan?
Right now, according to our database, right now there are more than 700 social organizations registered in our database.
Nice.
So, according to the database, we can provide the policy support to all the participants in our database. Yeah.
Oliver, you are one of the early ones, very, very early. You started Impact Hub Taipei at the very, very beginning when there are still not many activities around social entrepreneurship. Maybe you can introduce to us what is Impact Hub Taipei? What does Impact Hub Taipei do? And also, what was your experience in the very beginning of the ecosystem?
All right, sure. So hi, I'm Oliver. I'm the co-founder for Impact Hub Taipei. So basically that Impact Hub Taipei is part of the global network. So we share the brand together like with the other Impact Hubs around the world. And locally that we provide like several like either like services for corporates or for like social enterprises or even like nonprofits. So basically we provide co-working spaces. So we have a space that can support like entrepreneurs, social entrepreneurs, as well as nonprofits working together at our hub. And that is the first one. And the second one is that we provide lots of incubation and acceleration programs, like both those are in collaboration with multinational companies or even like huge foundations here, because they got the resources. So we are more like leveraging the resources from the corporates and also like from the foundations to support the needed startups or the needed social enterprises. So so that is the second one. And for the third one is that we actually provide lots of consultancy projects for the companies, because that is more like relate to the CSR, the corporate social responsibility, as well as the ESG, which is quite hot and trendy here, like not just Taiwan, but also like around the world. And that is the third one. And for the last one is that we are more leveraging the strengths of Impact Hub, because like it's a global network. So we are connecting with different stakeholders around Asia Pacific or even like the other regions together to support more social entrepreneurs here in Taiwan. Because there are not so many organizations or intermediaries who is supporting local entrepreneurs to be connected to the global network. So that is more like what we do here to support. So like for us, like we are more a connector or like a catalyst like in the ecosystem, because that is a really important role to support those entrepreneurs to be connected and also like to build up the trust. And then we are just like catalyzing the collaborations among different social enterprises, or even like they are like catalyzing the collaboration with corporates. So that's basically what we are doing. And also my observation for social innovation in Taiwan is that like it is getting more and more mature right now, because like back in 2014, like that is the year when we started Impact Hub. At the very beginning, that like it is quite early stage for the development of social innovation in Taiwan. So back in 2014, that is the initial year, that marks the initial year for social enterprise. So like it is kind of like very like everything is developing like from scratch, like back in 2014, and lots of resources or lots of informations are scattered, like are scattered everywhere, like and it's like in one ministry, in another ministry, or like some elsewhere. So that is like quite hard for entrepreneurs or for social entrepreneurs to get those information and resources. But until now, it is quite important that like it's just Robert just mentioned that like there is a cross sectoral collaboration under OGTAN, the digital minister's supervision. Agencies are actually right now collaborating together with social entrepreneurs to support them and to build up a much supportive infrastructure for the ecosystem. And another thing is that because of the democracy and also like the freedom of speech here in Taiwan, that it echoes the diversity of social enterprises here in Taiwan. So we have like social enterprises working on agricultural, working on tech for good, or even like it is more like from the financial parts, or even as like direct services or direct products that benefits the underserved groups. So that is really quite diversified at this moment. So I think that is much from my observation right now.
And Jeff, I guess over to you, because you work with all sectors as a consultant, and you also have a very interesting background, because even though you're in a management consultancy, you know, you also have done different things within your role in the management consultancy. So to some extent, you're an intrapreneur, right? So what was your observation and some of the things that we can learn? But before that, maybe you can introduce yourself and what you do as well, and also, you know, what were some of your observation as well in terms of the I guess the ecosystem development for social entrepreneurship and innovation in Taiwan.
Okay, thanks, Yihong. And hello, everyone. My name is Jeff. I will give a little bit introduction of myself, because I always talk to my friends that I am kind of very struggle person. How's that? Because my major in college is social work, but now I'm working for the consulting firm as a consultant to empower the social enterprise. So that is why I am very struggle person, because I always thinking about how to balance the romance and or finance, and that is quite big question to social entrepreneur, because everyone whenever they talking about the entrepreneurship, they always say, hey, you have to think how to survive, even though you have a social purpose, you want to solve the problems. And I joined KPMG Taiwan since 2014, which they recruit me to establish a new service called the Social Enterprise Service. The main idea of this team wants to break through this question, because we believe that the finance or the finance and romance issue is not quite how to balance that, is which is the first. So in KPMG Taiwan, we believe that romance, or we talking about the social purpose, is always before the finance. Also, so once we empower, or we help the social entrepreneur to thinking about their business model, we always talk to them to they have to structuralize their social purpose. They cannot only talking about a story. They have to make those ideas into very constructive goals. For example, once I have talked to a social entrepreneur, they are the kind of wise work integration social enterprise. They helping the disabled children to get the jobs, and their idea of their social enterprise is about they want to give them the ideal life. But when they talk to me, I say, hey, that's too vague. You have to you have to provide some constructive or even measurable ideas of your social purpose. So I just help them to break down the idea of their vision of social enterprise into they want to create a job. So how is the number of the job creation, and when the job creation they meet the goal, how's the change of their family? So that's what we say. Why the romance or finance is not the balance issue. It's about who comes first. Because you have to think more carefully about your romance. Then you will see how we can find the finance. So once they settle down, they have to create 10 jobs a year. So they have to think about what's the market status, how's the ability those disabled children have, so they can set the business model to approach the market. So so that's why KPMG in Taiwan established this team, because we want to help those social entrepreneurs. So since 2014, we established this service team, and we have a chance to get involved with the policy. That's why I worked with Robert a long time ago, and Oliver also. Follow and echo what Robert and Oliver say. The whole policy history in Taiwan, we separate the social enterprise action plan and social innovation action plan. Everyone always asks us about what's the differences. In 2014 till the 2017, social enterprise action plan is main focus on startup incubation and an empowerment program. But the social innovation action plan is about when we see, just like the Oliver said, the social enterprise in Taiwan is getting mature, even scale up. So we are thinking about, in the social innovation concept, we see how can we turn the startup focus into the scenario focus. So for example, we now in social innovation policy, we always talking about how can we engage all of the stakeholders to solve the same issue. Like for example, SDG 12, the sustainable production. So when we see that the SMA established a policy named the buying power, we help the mainstream company to procurement social enterprise in Taiwan. So till now, through this campaign, we create more than, I think, 3,000 million.
1 billion.
Yeah, 1 billion
Yeah, over
USD
1 billion.
in Taiwan. That is why we see what is the main idea of the social innovation action plan. we try not keep focusing on the startup incubation, but also we're trying to help them to create a market and to engage the all stakeholders.
Yep. I think it's a few interesting points that you brought out. One is to make sure that every social enterprise actually have their impact model or the model of impact of delivering social impact right first before they start designing their financial model or their business model itself. And you also brought out about how, you know, Taiwan actually focused on social enterprise first and now moving to social innovation. So there was a social enterprise action plan in 2014, and now is in the social innovation action plan, right, which was launched in 2018, if I'm not wrong, right, Robert? So maybe Robert, you can explain to us how was the social enterprise action plan, but also how did the shift from social enterprise action plan to now focusing more on social innovation action plan as well?
Thank you, Yihong. So, as I mentioned earlier, we have a social innovation database. So, every stakeholders and they can register in our database. And that's how we know all the stakeholders. So, according to the statistics, we can find not only the companies registered in this database. There are a lot of the NPOs, communities who are also trying to engage the social innovation process. So our policy focus have to shift from just not only focus on the social enterprise, but also have to echo the needs of the other stakeholders such as NPOs. They can also join our platform to get the support as well. And that is the policy mindset. And secondly, according to the world trend, you see that, you know, that we have the SDG, the Sustainable Development Goals provided by the United Nations. So SDG covers a lot of different issues that we have to put more emphasis on. So that is why we also have to have the diverse and different stakeholders also participating in the promotion of the social innovations. That is the mindset change. And the third, according to the databases, we can know more of their needs. So that's why Jeff has mentioned earlier. We have their needs. The first is how to go to market. So we have the go-to-market strategy that is called the buying power. The buying power. The first is buying power. The second is we help them to provide their product and service and help them get on board on the government procurement platform. So their product and services, if they are on board of our Government Procurement Act and platform, so all the agencies, all the different departments can buy their product and services directly from our government procurement platforms. That is what I mean. Not only give them fish, but also teach them how to fish. Because only if they are self-sustainable, they can have more impact. Okay, thank you.
And for everyone's benefit as well. So social enterprise itself is a very strict definition of a specific company and it is defined by how they operate and what is the outcome of their operation or their sales, right? Social innovation doesn't mean you have to be an enterprise. You can be an NGO, you can be a government, you can be a private company. As long as you are applying innovative practices, you're doing things differently in order to achieve social outcome or social impact. So so just so everyone to understand the difference between social enterprise and social innovation. Oliver, over to you. What I know, you know, when I was working with you, even back in the days in 2016, 2015, there were already a lot of very cool social enterprise in Taiwan. In fact, I remember when we met in New Zealand, you gave and we met Minister Audrey. You gave me a book on all the social innovation or social enterprise case studies in Taiwan, and that was amazing. So maybe one is, if you can give us maybe 2 examples of very cool social enterprise in Taiwan, and also what really make Taiwan, all of a sudden have all these social enterprise? How did you make social enterprise or social innovation mainstream in Taiwan? What happened?
All right, so I think I will answer the latter part first, because that is something that I prepared already. All right, so for like social enterprises or innovation mainstream is that I think the government has put a lot of efforts on that. That is like for sure, and that is not a doubt, because that like the government has put so much resources or funds on the promotion, like so that is to increase the public awareness around social enterprises or even like social innovation or even like the SDGs. So like every year or every 2 years, the governments and the like DBS Bank and some other corporates, they will do a survey on the publics or even on the social enterprises owner regarding like how or also like for the publics regarding how they perceive or how they see social enterprises or how they like the scale that they know about the SDGs or even like the social innovation. So that is really something that I think that support the awareness regarding social enterprises and also like social innovation. And that is the first part. And the second part is, Jeff just mentioned that like, the social procurement is really important because that is something that that promotes the idea of buying good, because like so the buying power is actually the idea from UK, which is buy social. So that is really a good idea to support the corporates or to support the multinational companies to buy products or even like services from the social enterprises to support them, and those social enterprises can exactly grow and also like scale the impact and make themselves like make themselves like sustainable. So that is something that is quite important. And also so just mentioned that like there is a cross-sectoral collaboration among like 12 ministries and agencies. So that means that like because those ministries that need to collaborate together, that means that like lots of information shall be shared, like and that means that it increase the transparencies around different ministries. So that like even the public or even like those ministries can exactly access to like some sort of data from the database or even like from the some kind of like meeting notes from Audrey Tan's website. So that means that like lots of things are transparent, so people or even like the public can get access to those informations. So that does increase the support and also like increase the development for social innovation and social enterprises here. And as for like cool social enterprises, there is one I can think of, which is one of our member, which is called Sense Innovation. So they are providing it's more kind of like tech for good. So they are providing some kind of sensor where to support like people with disability to control the laptops, like to type or even like to choose their feelings, so they can exactly communicate with ordinary people like before, because like those people, they are not exactly can talk or even they cannot actually like type. So like they're kind of like using eyes to connect and to communicate with people. So that is quite an successful example of social enterprises. And for the other things that I think there are so many people or so many social enterprises in Taiwan who is working on agriculture, because like Taiwan is agricultural country, that like so many social enterprises are supporting local farmers. So that is just like some examples for you.
I think actually agriculture might be a big one in Sarawak as well, given that Sarawak has a lot of land, and also we want to be one of the net exporter of agriculture product. Although Sarawak right now, unfortunately, is still a net importer of agriculture product, which I think we shouldn't be, given we have so much land and resources. But hopefully, we see a lot more agriculture social enterprises in the future in Sarawak. I guess next one, I would like to ask Jeff, is there a legal or an official definition of, in Taiwan, do you guys define what is a social enterprise or what is social innovation? Is there an official definition for those in Taiwan? And maybe you can also give us some examples of social enterprise or social innovation by maybe a corporate, for example, in Taiwan.
Okay, thanks, Ihong. But I want to follow Oliver's that he mentioned about the driving force to empower social innovation discussion in Taiwan. Because I will input one more driving force. Because out of the social innovation community, we see that the CSR in Taiwan is like he mentioned, quite trendy. But I will give you guys a little bit introduction of how CSR changed into ESG in Taiwan. Because in the past 2 decades, we always thought the CSR is kind of the corporate charity. But I think that is not true, because once you use your, we say that the unfair profit to doing the charity, that is not what we see the CSR should be like. For example, if the banker, they loan the money to the factory which damage the environment, and the banker earn the profit, right? But they giving the profit to doing the charity, I don't think that is a CSR. So in Taiwan, we established a new law to force the mainstream company, which they have to publish the sustainable report in 2014. Also, that year have 2 really important action plan. Which one is social enterprise action plan, and then the other one is about the CSR regulation. So once those two action plan, they quite shaping the whole market into a new stage, because the CSR community, they thinking about, okay, so my CSR is not about the charity only, so they have to think about how they to earn the profit, but also not to damage the environment and the social or the society. So that is what we see the opportunity for the social innovation or social enterprise, because they can be business partner. So in KPMG way, we trying to matchmaking to others to see they are the business partner. So I think that was the background information to answer the Ihong's question about the definition of the social innovation. Because in my opinion, the social innovation for me is we're trying to combine those 2 community to see that they may be the supplier of each other's, or they can tackle the how to say that, they can monetize the SDGs into whether it's service or product. Okay, so we were talking about a social innovation is kind of the solution, not only the business solution, which can tackle the SDGs. So kind of I think we will have Oliver later to share about the PPP models kind of that. Social innovation is trying to get the more partnership to solving the issues. But the social enterprise in Taiwan, we will more narrow about the business way to tackle the social or environmental issue. So I will give you two examples. I think when we're talking about the social enterprise in Taiwan, there was a really, I think it's a really cool one called the Sunny Founder. It's a crowdfunding website, which crowdfunding for the solar panel. So when we're thinking about the solar panel, we think, oh, wow, that was a huge investment. But the Sunny Founder want to, you can say, decentralize, or they can making the entry barriers very low into to have the solar panel. Maybe for example, if the one big factory of the solar panel, maybe we will get the 1 or 2 million USD to do the investment. But through their crowdfunding solution, everyone can get the solar panel, maybe 1,000 USD for a person. So in Taiwan's energy policy, if you have the solar panel, the assets of solar panel, the Thai power company will purchase your solar panel's energy every 2 months. So Sunny Founder have two really cool social performance. One is they lower the entry barriers of the energy issues. And the second one is they trying to talk to the public. Hey, it's not only about the environmental issue. It can be an investment way. So they scale up very rapidly because everyone can easily to get involved and easily to think about, okay, it's kind of investment, but also they can doing well or doing good. So we will give you guys an example of a social enterprise. And the social innovation, the example of social innovation, I would like to say, I really like this idea. It also made by Oliver. Impact Hub Taipei collaborate with the Carrefour Taiwan to establish the Impact Store. Well, we all know about the Carrefour is about the worldwide famous retailer, right? But in their global policy or the ESG thinking, they have to think about how to earn the money but not damage the environmental and the social. But you have when you're trying to change the whole company, it's quite hard. So Impact Hub Taipei pursued the Carrefour Taiwan to establish a side project, or what we call the Impact Store, out of the traditional Carrefour. But it's very attractive to the public because everyone say, wow, so Carrefour Taiwan has a new idea of the impact, and they're trying to build the new procurement way to see we will see the more fair about the eggs, because the chickens always live in a cage, but they are promoting the free cage eggs in Taiwan. And since the cooperation with Impact Hub Taipei, Carrefour Taiwan announced the new policy of the idea, say they trying to free the old traditional eggs in, I think, 2013. Am I right, Oliver? If I'm wrong, you just correct me anytime. So that's what we talked about, the case of the social innovation. We're trying to get, no matter it's public, private, or no matter it's mainstream company with the social entrepreneur, we all trying to get involved. We all trying to solve the problems, no matter what is the business solution or not. So that is quite two example for you.
That's a good example, actually. And Carrefour was in Malaysia, but recently they have I think they have left Malaysia, right? I don't think there's Carrefour in Malaysia anymore. Although in Sarawak we have Everrise, so maybe one day we might see Everrise having an Impact store as well. Who knows, right? Maybe Oliver, you want to tell us a little bit about, just maybe briefly, what is this Carrefour Impact?
All right, so for Carrefour Impact, that is more like a new idea that we persuade and also like to engage and convince the multinational companies to kind of like open up a new market, and that like all of the stores, sales, products that is like sustainable and purpose driven, and also like that is like animals friendly. So that is kind of like a new space for the public to know the idea of sustainable consumption, because like we are talking about like for those companies, they are talking about sustainable production, while the consumers shall know about sustainable consumption. So that is the idea, to introduce the idea, and also like a new place where the company can exactly introduce and communicate with the consumers directly, face to face.
Imagine if you guys can get Timoga and Everrise to partner up, and then all the Everrise punya, veggie and everything is from local farmers and local chicken farmers and everything. That would be incredible, actually. There's an idea there. So we have 50 ringgit boss, and now we have Everrise Impact Store. Robert, I'll come to you next. What are some of the I guess, initiative introduced by the government that you think help to accelerate the development of social enterprise and social innovation in Taiwan? And also there's a question from the crowd. How did Taiwan government promote social enterprise to the local community, especially for those in rural areas that maybe don't have internet, or their internet is connectivity is not very good?
All right. Thank you for asking the questions. So for the government sector, our role is mostly a platform that help to support the public-private partnership. I think the public-private partnership is one of the key successful factors that is promoting our social innovation programs. For example, just like Jeff and Oliver says, their stories are mostly held by the private sectors. So I think most of our government is providing the platform not to take the over, but to provide the full support. For example, we have the award strategy. Every year we are hosting the Buying Power Award, which bring together all kinds of stakeholders, such as Carrefour. They are also one of the big part in supporting the buying of all the social goods and services. So every year we're hosting the Buying Power Award. So that is the way to encourage the public-private partnerships, and it's also a good way to help promote the social entrepreneurship. I think it's one of the important job that government is doing, is provide a sound environment for all the stakeholders that can join to help to promote the social entrepreneurship and the ecosystem. Thank you.
So if I understand you correctly, Robert, you're saying that it's important for government not to do everything yourself. Yeah. Work in partnership with the ecosystem players. Yeah. Work in partnership with the intermediaries, the community builders, people who are already running, all these events and doing all these initiatives.
Yeah, work with Jeff from KPMG, work with Oliver from Impact Hub Taipei. For example, we are also hosting the Asia Pacific Social Innovation Summit. Last year with Oliver from Impact Hub Taipei. So that is very important mechanism for us to have more international branding and to have more opportunity to work with our international partners. I think it's a very good example. And we also have another award. I think it's the Asia Pacific Social Innovation Awards. That award is also not only in Taiwan, but also provide to all the Asia Pacific partnership. If they have a very good strategy to work together with members and to provide the solutions to the social needs, we can bring them the Asia Pacific Social Innovation Award, so they can be all together as partners. And this year, more interestingly, we're also hosting the presidential hackathons, the international track. Our goal is to solve the climate change actions for the SDG, and I think it's SDG 13. And to solve the SDG 13 problems.
Yeah.
So if you join the international track of our presidential hackathons, you have the opportunity to come to Taiwan. We have the soft landing programs, especially soft landing program for all the social entrepreneurs to come to Taiwan. And I think it's in Kaohsiung. In Kaohsiung, we have in New Bay Area, we have the international entrepreneurship, entrepreneurship park. So you can come and join us. If you join the international track of the presidential hackathon, that is a very good opportunity for us to work with all of you to accomplish our goal of SDGs. Thank you.
So everyone can have a look at the link that Oliver shared. Maybe one day you guys can go to Taiwan.
And
be
1
part
month at least 1 month.
Oliver, maybe you mentioned that back in the beginning you guys did 500 events in the year. What were some of the most most impactful or some of the programs or events that you think was important or really useful to help promote social entrepreneurship and innovation in the beginning?
All right. So for the very beginning, that like lots of offline events are required. I think that is because that like I think it's like same with the formula that we do with Impact Hub, because like for Impact Hub, that is connect, inspire, and enable. So like you got a space where you can connect like different stakeholders or different people, and then you host events where you can inspire them like with those meaningful contents or impactful contents, and then like you have like a long-term program so that you are enabling them to do good or to scale the impact. So I think that is really quite similar to that. Like for the very beginning, that you gotta like host events to connect different people and inspire them and to raise the awareness about the idea of social innovation and social enterprises. And other than that, I think there's another important thing from the government support is that like the government does not really take everything or do everything by themselves, just like Robert mentioned that, because there are so many like subsidies or programs that social enterprises or intermediaries can apply, so that they are more kind of like providing resources to empower those intermediaries, so that like the intermediaries can support and empower like another group of social enterprises. So that is kind of like effective way, because like usually you don't really do everything by yourself, but you gotta like work with the governments or work with the corporates. So that is called the PPP, or even like currently we are calling PPPP. That is the 4P model, because that is public-private partnership as well as people, because you gotta engage the public. So that is quite important.
And I think that brings a good point to Jeff, because in people usually say, work with management consultant. What does the corporates got to do with social entrepreneurship or social innovation? So what were some of the things that the government worked together with KPMG on promoting social entrepreneurship and innovation, and what do you think actually worked or what really helped to make it successful?
Okay. Well, that's a very, very good question. for KPMG, actually, I think let me think about that, because too many things can tell. I trying to get the most important one. Yeah, we see how to say that KPMG opinions about the we see kind of okay, we positioning ourselves is kind of the professional service in the traditional capital market, right? So we're trying to we use our the brand image of the KPMG, trying to get the chance to talk to the capitalism that the social enterprise or the social innovation is the kind of the business opportunity. Okay, so we know that the so many initiative or the organization is talking about this idea or concept, because that is why I choose the KPMG to join and establish this team, because I found the stereotype of the accounting firm is quite powerful. So when the accountant talk to their client, say, hey, you have to check out this because it might be the kind of business opportunity, and you will see the whole information is the same, but through the accountant talk to their client will get more attention about, oh, really? My accountant told me that was be a very potential business opportunity to invest. So that is why I joined KPMG, and our main idea is trying to. I always talk to my friend. I kind of the undercover in the accounting firm. I want to kind of the how we say that we kind of we're trying to establish a social movement in the traditional capital market. We package those ideas into the very business opportunity look like, and we're trying to pursue the traditional capitalism to get involved, because I think if they only use the donation or charity resource, I don't see that is kind of the involvement in social or environmental issue. They have to use their strengths, kind of the investment or kind of business concept to get involved. Yeah, that is why we use the consulting firm to do that. But yeah, from the other side, we start this team 7 years ago, and from the other side, I mean the startup community, they always think about, really, KPMG get involved in this topic, or they just want to get the making money from startups. So we do take times to communicate with the startup community. Say, hey, we are not we don't want to how say that we're trying to be the partner. The main mission is we get together and to pursue the traditional capital market to get involved. So I will try. I use maybe 2 or 3 years to get the trust from the startups. So now we usually doing the things that we kind of the co-bidding. We help the startups to stick together and to get to providing the kind of the joint bidding proposal through us to our client. Yeah.
I think that's a good point. I think having KPMG as the bridge between the social enterprise or social innovation organization with some of the bigger corporates or the conglomerates who might still feel a bit, should I support? Should I get involved? Should we, do something? When your accountant tell you you definitely should listen to your accountant, right? And especially for the big corporates as well. When KPMG say do it, of course you will do it as well, right? Compared to, if the government says do it, or if any other, smaller companies or organization ask you to do it, some of the big corporates might not listen. So I think having KPMG lend the credibility and support and trust for the smaller organization really is very important and useful. Robert, what were some of the, I guess, challenges, right, for the government in the beginning when, social enterprise, people don't know what is social enterprise, people don't know what is social innovation. What were some of the challenges in developing the ecosystem in the beginning?
I think in the beginning, I think the awareness is the most important thing to get all the attention from all the stakeholders to join in the building of the ecosystem. And that's why we have use the strategy we call the connect strategy. Connect strategy means that we have the online database which can connect all the stakeholders registered in this database. And we had the on-site events hosting by all the stakeholders in our social innovation lab to promote the awareness of all the stakeholders. And the third strategy is we have go to other counties in Taiwan. We have on-site discussions, on-site meetings with all the real stakeholders in this area, leading by our digital minister, Audrey Tang. Audrey Tang, every month we coordinate the meetings with different ministries and go on-site tour and get the hands-on discussion with the real stakeholders, such as we mean the agriculture departments in Taiwan and the farmers. They want to do in the agribusiness and how they doing the business. And our government's role is to provide the platform to eliminate the barriers for them to join us, such as a lot of the regulation. So that's we have to co-op meetings to harmonize the regulations that hinders them from going to the agribusiness. And that is how we do to promote the awareness and help them online, on-site, and the regular review of the regulations to eliminate all the barriers. That's why we can have more stakeholders join our social innovation journey together. Thank you.
Raising the awareness, education. I think, hearing what you said, I think especially for me and Arif, we wish that we can borrow Minister, the Honorable Minister Audrey Tang in Malaysia for at least a few years. Because for those who don't know who is the Honorable Minister Audrey Tang, if you guys Google her, you will be blown away by not only the things that she has done, but also her background as well as a hacker, as a technologist, as someone who is on the ground and built a lot of the Apple products that we all use today. Oliver, what I guess Robert has already shared with us some of the earlier challenges. Most of it is around awareness, education. Educating the different ministries, the different departments, different councils, different organizations, corporates, and stuff like that. How about you? You as an intermediary, as a hub. What were the challenges that you faced in the beginning, apart from obviously no one wanting to be a member, but what other challenges you had in the beginning?
Yeah, there are so many. Yeah, but I'll just list a few. Yeah, all right. So I think the first challenge for intermediaries that like no one knows what the hell is intermediary. So that is a really like a challenge for us because like no one knows you and no one knows the idea of intermediaries. So that means that you are lacking of trust and it is really hard for you to build up the relationship with them. So like in the very beginning that it's really hard to to get like partnership with governments or even like with the corporates, because no one knows you. So you're gonna like start from scratch and start from little. So that is the first challenge. And the second is that like lack of funds or resources like back in 2014 or 2015, because like usually like the incubator or like the accelerator, like the term or the idea is not that popular back in 2014 or 2015, or even like for social enterprises or social innovation. So that like we are positioning ourselves as a social innovation or social enterprise incubator. Then like no one knows what the hell is that. So like so that is the reason that like it's really hard to get funds, even like from the investors or even like from the governments, because back in 2014 that there were exactly a huge one that goes to traditional incubation centers in university, while that like the private incubator or private accelerators does not exactly know how to get the subsidies or funds from the governments. So that is the kind of like lacking of funds. The third one for us, which is quite tricky because it's kind of like a competition with the government. Because like for Impact Hub here in Taipei, that is quite similar to what Robert and Jeff just introduced. That like the Social Innovation Lab, or like back in 2014, that is called Social Enterprise Hub. So like the idea or like the concept is quite similar. However, the governments like usually provide free spaces to social enterprises. So that is kind of like a competition. But later that we are more like positioning ourselves as private spaces, and also like to support and to support our members with like extra values. So that is like definitely differentiate like us with the government owned space, because like not just the central government build or curate the spaces, but also like the city governments does provide lots of spaces. Like for example, in Taipei City, there are more than 5 government-owned spaces, and in Taoren City there are more like than 3 or 4 like government-owned spaces, and that is like all around Taiwan. Like each local city got their own like incubation space, or even like a co-working space, etc. So there is like the third challenge is for us. And the last one would be more kind of like the regulation, because like the regulation was kind of like having a debate back in 2014 to 2016. However, there was not a continuous discussion over there over the agenda. So that is kind of like in the result that like social. So that is like kind of like in the result that we still don't have a fixed definition around social enterprises or like any extra benefits to set up a social enterprises. So I think like that is the fourth challenges that I see.
Actually, the third challenge that you mentioned is one that a lot of people in this room can relate to, because in Sarawak, the state government has also set up a hub in every city and every town funded by the government itself. And then there's also the private sector like Russ and Rushdie and Malcolm. They run more privately owned and privately managed hub themselves. So they are in competition with the government, but now the government realized, I think, and so the government does provide them some funding for some programs and stuff like that, so they don't become a competitor. Instead, it helps to what's the word, differentiate.
I think differentiate would be like really great, because like you gotta like work with governments, because like for a government space they can provide like some certain services, while for our hub we can provide like different services, so that like we can exactly like collaborate with the government space. And also like for us that we don't create like huge event spaces, because government owned spaces got huge event spaces, so we don't have to put lots of investment on that. So that is more kind of like a partnership around that.
Yeah. Jeff, how do we get more private sector involved?
Yeah, good question. I think the main idea, as I just mentioned before, we're trying to make the social innovation idea into kind of the business opportunity, so that the private sector will get more interesting or pay more attention about that. So, but we will look into a detail about how will be the business opportunity look like. For example, for the retailer, we will talk to them about their customer is changing, the more social or the more sustainable production or the procurement. Even though those products will get more expensive, the client or the customer will support that idea. So we talk to the retailer, say, hey, that the market is changing, so you have to pay attention. So once they got the idea, say, oh, okay, so I selling the more valuable product, but even though it's more expensive, my client will get involved. Okay, so where is the good products? So that will link it to the Robert mentioned about the database, the social innovation organization database in Taiwan. We get the we promote this database to the retailers. Say you can doing the research in this database, you can find the good production. That's one idea, and the other one, because retail is one of industry, right? I will tell more. So when we're talking about the insurance company, we're trying to solve the idea of the business opportunities. Hey, the future insurance service is not happening now, right? So the now of the idea of the insurance is about when you get the sick, they will pay back to you or give you the more large rent in the hospital. But we were talking to the insurance company and say, hey, in the future, the average age in Taiwan is getting elder, and the young kid is really everyone for me, I just the only child in my family. So the future insurance is kind of that when I'm doing my job in daytime, but my parents need someone to take care of them or help them to get to see the doctor. How this where is the solution can be provided. So we talking to the insurance company and say, hey, that is kind of the business opportunity. You can create the new insurance product to talk to your customer and say, if you need that, or what we see that will be happen in the future because you are only child in your family and the elders in your family, they need help, but you cannot give up your job. Once you give up your job, how's your family living? So we're trying to linkage the insurance company with lots of the social enterprise who is tackling this issue. No matter it's nursing, no matter it's daycare, we're trying to combining them to shape the new idea of the insurance product. That is not an idea. And the third case I can give you guys is about the investment. When we see the ESG community like talking about lots of the responsible investment, but I think the responsible investment or the ESG way is quite not to get troubles. I don't think that is positive or positive enough. So we see the impact investing in Taiwan. We're trying to talking about the issue, but we're talking about the way, like the the kind of the we're now trying to it's a kind of a new project, but we're trying to writing down the social or environmental issue, just like the industry report or investment report, to showing that those issue is more quite have the potentiality to get your money in, and you're not only get the payback, but you only get the social performance. So me, Oliver, and Robert, we were always talking about how can we enlarge the impact investing discussion in Taiwan. So we recently we just launched a new platform called the Taiwan Impact Investing Association, and we were trying to get more and more investor or banker to get in, because we see the past seven years we successfully to create the procurement value chain and the PPP models. So there are lots of the project or lots of the procurement, the idea is getting more and more. So we see the next one is about the investing.
Impact investment. Robert, what were some of the initiatives that didn't work as well as you planned? This is a question from one of the people in the room. What were some of the programs or initiative that was introduced by the government? It didn't work as well as you planned for it to be.
Right now, according to my knowledge, our plan and initiative, I think it's not fair, because with all the support from the stakeholders and private sectors, we successfully launched the initiatives such as buying power. But buying power, the award. These are all the successful. I think it's a very good initiative.
Yeah.
And the database, I think, is also worked as well. Very good process. And because with the support and the public-private people's partnership, I think we are right on the very good. We are right on the good track and making progress. Yes.
Oliver, since a lot of people in here are running hubs, about I would say 80% of them run hubs that target startup and social enterprise, and then there is another 20%. There's two groups of them who are running hubs who are mostly targeting creative industry, so the arts, craft, heritage, culture, more those kind of hubs. Maybe you can give some tips to some of these hubs on how they can access more funding or financing, different ways they can make themselves more sustainable or access funding as well.
All right, that's a good question. All right, I think the first one would be to really identify the needs, like for your targeting groups, because you gotta figure out the needs and to provide certain services for them, so that you are irreplaceable, so that you are kind of making a good stand in the markets. So that is the first one: identify the needs and also identify the resources. And the second one would be to think different, probably to think different for to try anything within your business model. Like, for example, that for Impact Hub Taipei that we actually try different things in the past 5 years. So for example, we do lots of events. So we also like have events brand, like we got like event brand licenses from different countries as well. Like for example, CreativeMornings or Fuck Up Nights. So that is something that we try and we are seeing like if there's kind of needs or callings from the community. And we also like do incubation and acceleration programs on different topics so that you know like what exactly the community is looking for. Like for example, they are looking for supports from the circular economy, or even like they are looking supports from different topics, so that you know like what is your niche. So you gotta create the niche. And also like we try the space and we try to increase the scale for the space, but currently we do not exactly think that like having a very huge space is really needed, because the space is more just kind of like container. So the most important is the people and the community which is in the container. So you gotta figure out like how or like figure out what are those people or what are those community that you are looking for into that container. That is the most important thing, I think.
Can you also maybe give some examples of hubs in Taiwan, especially from maybe an example from the creative industry? Are there any hubs in Taiwan that focus or targets the creative industry?
I think there was one in Thousand Taiwan, like back in like several years ago, but I'm not pretty sure if they are still existing, because they are kind of like pivoting to different business model, because like it's really hard to make a profit for the like, because like creative community or creative industry in Taiwan is kind of like really small, and you are having a space or having a community on that is really hard, because like for creative, they usually like more kind of like freelancers, or even they work at their home, because they are kind of like afraid being copied at the space. So that is something that you're gonna figure out. And there's another space as I remember that is quite successful, but that is more a government-owned space. And that
what is that called?
Let me check. And that is owned and built by Taipei City government.
Yeah, maybe once you found it, you can paste in the
let
chat.
me check. And yeah, but like for that is quite successful and it's huge, and they provide like maker space, they provide co-working spaces, so creatives can exactly make good use of the maker space to make prototypes. And also like there is a fashion space, like a fashion hub, and that is quite successful as well, but that is also like government run.
Robert, I just wanted to also ask you about incentive. Are there any incentives that the government introduced, whether for the intermediaries or the private sector, or for the social enterprise or the social innovation organizations?
I think a very good question. As for the intermediary, you are asking about the intermediary, the groups, because we government SME work as a platform and resource allocators. So we are providing a lot of resources, so they such as grants and funding. So we have a different kind of projects supporting the development of the social entrepreneurs. So all the stakeholders, including the intermediary entities, they are also our partners. And how they become our partners? Because we provide the programs, they can join the bidding process. If they win the bidding process, they can become the implementer of all the government programs. That is very important incentives for them to get into the process, to join the journey of the promoting the social entrepreneurship. I think it's a government resources allocation and providing the full support of the policy. I think it's very important incentive for them to work with us as partners. Thank you.
And I guess this is all very transparent. So the government, when
Yes.
they want to look for an implementer, they will publish it on the website, with all the information. And
We
any
on the
intermediary
public-
can apply.
We put on the public procurement platforms. So every participant, they know our needs, our programs. They can join the bidding process.
Yep. Ellie, something for you to bring back to SDEC to make everything more open and more transparent from the government standpoint, given that it is taxpayers' money as well. I guess for last question, and then I might quickly wrap up because maybe I want to pick a few people to share a bit also with Robert, Jeff, and Oliver, so you guys get to hear their voices as well. Last question, I don't know who wants to take this one, whether Oliver, Robert, or Jeff, you want to answer, please feel free. I guess Taiwan is a small country, right? It's a small country, has a small market, right? And just like Sarawak, we are a small state. We also have limited exposure. We're also a bit isolated on an island. So, we have some similarities to Taiwan. How do you deal with the small market or the small, lack of exposure in Taiwan, and some of the advice you can give to our people in the room in Sarawak? Oliver, you want to go first?
Yeah, I think I can go first. Is that like the first thing, and which is a very simple thing, that would be like create the buzz. Because like creating the buzz, that means that you are increasing the awareness for the publics. And then the second thing would be more like engaging different people on the same room, so that you can have like dialogues, because dialogues is really important, because where you put like different peoples or different groups of people with different opinions that are having the dialogues, and then we can like and make new things and spark new ideas throughout the dialogues. So I think that is really important, like for Sarawak as well, because that is the thing. I think that is something that supports Taiwan on the successful development of social innovation policies, or even like the ecosystem infrastructure.
Okay, for me, I think it's start from small, or even just one issue first, because for example, why we establish buying power first, because more maybe I think 10 decades ago, there's a food scandal in Taiwan. So this issue shaped the whole market. Is really scared about the unqualified foods. So when we talking about the first tier, about the social enterprise or social innovation organization in Taiwan, there's a lot of the idea to solve this kind of the problem, to get the food production more transparency or something else. So I think we start from small, and once we do this kind of issue, follow the Oliver's mentioned, that we get lots of the public attention, we can see the second topic or the other thing is what is that? Because we use I think more than 3 years to get the buying power quite stable, and we will see the mainstream of the procurement, the month is always from the food industry. So when we see the whole performance is quite stable, so we can see the other issues about how what kind of the industry we can get involved. So that is my opinion. We start from small and one piece, step by step.
Start small, make lots of noise, until
Yeah.
you build a momentum.
All right,
Yeah.
I'll just add an extra, especially like for hubs or for intermediaries. Don't be afraid of collaborating with the governments, because like we were quite afraid of like collaborating with the governments in the very beginning. However, we found out that like the public partnership can exactly support each other, because like the governments can support you around like administration or support you around like regulations. However, you providing like innovations to the government as well. So that like it's more kind of like mutual benefits that you can get from the public-private partnership. So don't be afraid of collaborating with the governments.
Robert, you must be very scary. He was scared to collaborate with the government. Robert, as someone from government, do you have any advice to these people? You know, how to work better with government? And
I have one advice. Building a trusted relationship and know your customers and work with government step by step to achieving your goals. I wish all of you have a great journey in extending your business ahead. Thank you. I have another meeting to attend. Excuse me, I have to attend. Thank you.
Thank you, Robert. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Robert.
All right, so Robert had to go, but we still have Jeff and Oliver. I was just gonna randomly pick maybe 3 people to introduce yourself, so that at least Jeff and Oliver get to hear who you are and what you do. So Malcolm, do you want to introduce yourself and also maybe iCUP Innovation? Looking for the unmute button.
It's so different from the Zoom. It's always on the other side. Yeah. So thank you for sharing. It's really a great, get to know all of you, what you guys are doing, because we do have some common friends as well from Taiwan as well. Anyway, my name is Malcolm. I'm from Kuching, and we are the first co-working space in Sarawak, which is called iCUP Innovation since 2015. Worked very closely with Ihon and his team previously. And so we have grown from 2015 until today. So we work a lot with local community as well. So before everything starts, of course, being the first one in Sarawak, that time the ecosystem was not ready. A lot of things are not in place. So we would have to work with a lot of other communities from outside of Sarawak, and then to really understand what co-working space and the whole ecosystem and community is all about. Since 2015 until today, I think we have still have a lot of things not very we still have a lot of things to learn from each and every one. So we have worked with a lot of different community, especially like grassroots level. Be it NGOs, be it social enterprises, even up to some startups, young startups, or even corporate sectors as well. So we also work with the local community that is a few hours away from Kuching. They are small town, like a division, right? A district. So we work with the locals there as well, and how to bring their business to the next level, whereby adopting technology, very simple, like using social media or even using e-commerce, or even as simple as using WhatsApp and other tools, So I think overall in Sarawak, a lot of businesses are still operating in a very traditional way. So that's where we are still constantly like learning together and try to grow together. And I think this session is great to have all of you from Taiwan to have cross-referencing as well. And yes, the division that we are working at in Sarike, which is Central Region of Sarawak, that is a huge agriculture land, whereby there's a lot of agriculture activities taking place, right? So that location, it's also one of the locations that the state government is also looking at expanding and build it into what China have which is the fruit basket, right? To export more of the local plantation and local fruits or crops, right? So I think there's a lot of opportunity that we can learn from our neighboring countries on adopting IoT or tech solution to help agriculture industry, especially the younger generation, because a lot of people heard about agriculture industry is always hard labor, so they all give up. They don't want to continue their parents or their family business. So I think how can we reintroduce the agriculture industry to make it sound more sexy, because of like using IoTs or technology solution that everyone can be more like aligned with what our and also making sure that the productivity level and efficiency is there. So less work but harvest more, right? So I think this is something that I think what we need as well, right?
We have to make agriculture romantic.
But there are so much, there are really a lot, because the other day we did a business forum in a virtual business forum, and we managed to get a few our counterpart, which is SDAC, right? Cairo and his team, to be on the panel as well, and then we connected them with our some of our Malaysian agropreneurs, right? And what kind of solutions they can provide, and what kind of solutions or IoTs that can actually allowing us in Sarawak to be a test bed, right? To be a test bed on the solutions, right?
Yep.
Then we can only educate using that opportunity to educate the local farmers to really look into this can help you change your business model and can change your livelihood as well, right? So I think, again, a lot of people are very skeptical in terms of when they heard about IoT or technology, it seems like it's going to replace their job, right? But eventually it's not. It's just to help them in their day-to-day operations. And also data is very important. So these are all the kinds of information that it's still, I think for all of us here, is still constantly learning from our neighboring countries. You know, how can we work together and bring in those successful stories here, and then.
Malcolm, I'm aware of time.
Oh, sorry. So anyway,
We're very over time.
that's what we do. So we work very closely with a lot of ecosystem builders and also communities in ASEAN and Asia Pacific as well, especially in Sarawak as well.
Okay, I might really just maybe get Ashwin, our resident stand-up comedian, to also quickly introduce yourself and share a bit about the work you do.
All right, what's up, guys? It's Ashwin here from House Kuching. I don't know about the whole stand-up comedy part because jokes are not taken so lightly these days as it was back in the days. But yeah, okay,
we can have a stand-up session, open mic session at the end of this. It's a Friday evening, so
open mic usually comes with open bar as well, Ihon. So yeah. Anyways, right. Okay, so House Kuching, right? Just to put it in a very simple context, we're basically a grassroots level creative community hub. Right, the idea started basically where a few individuals in Kuching figured that one of the opportunity gaps that we face over here, especially for the creative scene, is the fact that we're lacking a space and we're lacking a platform to have multidisciplinary arts come in together, because music tends to get a little bit more showcasing than the visual arts. Sometimes singer-songwriting, they feel like there's not much of a market in this part of town. They have to go all the way to KL to make a name and stuff like that. So the few of us were in KL. We were doing day jobs like engineers, architects, and stuff like that. We decided, okay, we've got our creative side going, and we don't have somewhere that we can actually make it happen. So why don't we use whatever we learned from like our day jobs to actually implement into like whatever we're doing, over here in house. So one of the things that we struggled at the beginning, of course, was the sustainability part. It's quite difficult to be sustainable. Creative industry, no one wants to give much money. People don't really see the need for, actors, directors, or visual artists to get any form of payment or steady income. We wanted to quash that narrative. We wanted to change that completely. So we had to have a very solid sustainability plan, which basically means like there has to be money making, money that actually goes not just to pay staff, but also to the company to continue doing our efforts. So we had to really change our mindset, because we used to think that profit sharing or certain ways to make profit for the company sounds bad, capitalist, money, allergic, and stuff like that. But we had to really mature and come out of that naive precognition to realize that certain hard decisions needs to be made. Certain things requires us to put the foot down so that they do not exploit the community that we have around here, because that's the whole point of why we set this up in the first place, right? And we diversified our revenue stream. We have rental, we have events, we do merchandise. We also have a creative agency, using the talents and everything that we have under our hub. And this basically helped us open a lot of doors to work with a lot of other different hubs and communities. And we're actually quite thankful to be considered under the Sarawak Digital Village ecosystem, or the digital ecosystem, focused a little bit on the creative arts and the creative side of things, basically. So that's basically to summarize. One last thing, which is a little bit interesting compared to, I think, a lot of other NGOs or social enterprises out there. We run with 7 directors. So 7 directors and 7 shareholders. It's pretty crazy, At the beginning stage, we thought that we're going to get so much trouble and stuff like that. But interestingly, from the previous session, we heard the thing about a hustler, a hipster, and hacker. And I love that, because it's crazy. Out of the 7 of us, we can sort of actually identify who's doing that. And at this stage, we were thank God we had 7. We were thinking at some point to reduce to 3, maybe only 2 decision makers. The rest are just tagging along and stuff like that. But over time, we realized that we need all 7. It's so important. So yeah, just fun facts about House Kuching.
Thanks, Ashwin. So yeah, again, Oliver and Jeff, I cannot thank you enough for spending your Friday evening with us, and very generously also sharing with us, an hour and a half of sharing everything you can, and also, giving us all the information you can as well. There was no censorship and no, what's the word? No holding back in terms of sharing the information. I took out a lot of notes. I think some of the things that's very crucial. I think at the end of the day, the government and the private sector and the public getting together to collaborate and partner is one of the most important things that was brought up over and over again by you guys. The government support as well in supporting the larger ecosystem, ensuring that the ecosystem has enough resources to not only survive, but also to succeed is also very important for the larger ecosystem. Obviously, you guys also introduced a few new laws that also helped. But I guess one thing that I think would be difficult for us to replicate is to have someone like the Honorable Minister Audrey Tang here in Malaysia. I think that if we can borrow her for 1-2 years, maybe Malaysia would be one of the developed countries in Asia or the world possibly. Ihon cannot take the lead. Ihon's getting old, lastly, Arif, do you want to take? I don't know how you're going to take a group photo, because there is some people hidden in the sense that Google Meet doesn't make it all.
Can you just don't know which one to press? I have everybody's on my screen.
How?
All right, guys. Adalah, you know what? Later aja. I do tutorial. All right, guys. If you could turn on your camera, we're gonna take a group picture together with our tiny speaker. Second picture of the day. All right. On the count of 3, say social innovation. 1, 2, 3.
Social innovation. I'm the only one who said it. Bodoh lah.
Everyone muted ma. Cool.
Oh,
Thank you. Got it.
Yeah. All right, Jeff, Oliver, thank you again.
Thanks.
Yeah, we'll be in touch again.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, feel free to connect me if you need any connections or any support.
Yeah.
I'm here and very happy to support that.
I'm moving
And
to
you have
Taiwan.
got my contacts.
Yes. All right.
All right, so see you guys. Have a successful workshops.
Thanks, Oliver. Thanks, Jeff.
Bye. Thank you.
See you.
All right, guys. For the rest, we're gonna go back to the Zoom room lah. Bye, Jeff. Thanks.
Ada link sih. Oh, saya ada link. Okay, never mind.
Ada.
Pakai link sama aja. Okay, alright.
Sama aja. Yeah, same one.